and welcome to Wanted Down Under, the show which catapults a British family right across the other side of the world to help them make the biggest decision of their life. Busy single mum Becky Sanders and her 11-year-old son Keelan are considering swapping the daily grind in Northampton for a new life in Australia, even though they've never been to see what it's like.
I feel as if we've outgrown this area, the house. I think there's opportunities to be had elsewhere that aren't available here, not only for me but for Keelan as well.
Keelan's hoping that a move to Australia will mean more quality time with his mum.
We'll be doing a lot more, I reckon, in Australia, which we wouldn't do here. My mum will take us swimming far more and probably cinemas, maybe less, because it's hot outside.
But will the reality of life in Australia prove a huge disappointment?
They feel like holiday apartments. They don't feel like somewhere that you could live. One of the reasons we want to get out of the UK is because everybody is living on top of everybody else.
Would moving thousands of miles away from his friends in pursuit of a dream life be too much for Keelan to bear?
You want a hug?
Will that leave the Sanders family's plans in tatters, or will they decide to press ahead with a move down under? When you look out of the window and all you see is grey clouds and rain, the prospect of a new life in Australia can seem pretty appealing. For people under 45 and with a skill that's in demand, it's a realistic option to make the move. But if you've never even set foot down under, it's a massive undertaking. What if you haven't thought everything through before you make this life-changing decision? We've given 20 British families the chance of a lifetime, a week down under, to see for themselves if it's all they've ever dreamt it would be. They'll be asked then to vote one way or the other, whether to stay in the UK or move to Australia. Becky and Keelan Sanders live with their dog Munchie in Northampton. Becky has long wanted to make the world her oyster and hopes her job may be their ticket out of the UK. She's a qualified occupational therapist but currently works as a mental health advocate.
I want to make a difference to people's lives. And I would think everyone that does nursing and OT and social work would probably say the same thing. I don't feel as if I'm able to put that into practice here because of the restraints with funding and budgets and stuff. And I just feel that there'll be more opportunities and I'll be able to really make a difference to people's lives somewhere else.
While wanting to help others, Becky also struggles with her own vulnerability.
For 4 or 5 months of the year, I suffer quite badly from depression. My life is pretty much governed by seasonal affective disorder. It means that during the winter months, I do very little. I get up in the morning and sort Keelan out for school, and I go to work, and I come home and sleep. And that's about all we do during the winter, and it obviously has an effect on Keelan as well.
Well, it affects me because even the slightest thing could make her really angry at me, which I don't like.
He has to do a lot more during the winter months to help me out around the house. He has to do a lot more housework. So yeah, I do feel very, very guilty that I need to rely on him sometimes.
I've got a very, very strong relationship with my mum. I look after her when she's ill and she looks after me when I'm ill.
Although they're very close, Becky and Keelan have a strong support network which extends beyond the two of them.
My mum will miss her best friend Heather a lot because if one of them's had a bad day, they'll go and see the other and cheer them up. So that's what my mum will miss most, miss her friends.
There certainly isn't a day that goes by when we don't talk to each other in some way. No. That is going to be the weirdest thing.
I don't think you realise how much you rely on someone until they're not around. So, yeah, I don't even want to think about it because I'll get all upset.
And if they aren't able to replace those close emotional contacts, they really will be on their own.
If we don't manage to make friends out there, that will be quite difficult. It will obviously make it more intense, the fact that I miss friends and family here.
I'll be sad that I'm leaving all of them. If something really bad happened to one of them, then I'd have to come back.
Becky and Keelan have so much to think about in considering a move to Australia. One thing Becky has decided is that they'd rent a property rather than buy if they make the move. But to help them discover whether Australia can live up to their expectations, we gave them a week's trial in the capital of the Northern Territory, Darwin. We found 3 different lifestyles for our family to sample. One in the country, one in the city and one on the coast. Each one with the offer of a job and a brand new way of life for them to enjoy on their budget. First, let's take a look at the country lifestyle. In rural Darwin, you can make the most of the area's great outdoor spaces and year-long balmy temperatures. With a salary in the region of £23,000, you may find rural living more affordable. You could rent a 2-bedroom air-conditioned flat in Grey for $350 a week, which works out at around £600 a month. Plus, there's wildlife and stunning scenery to be found right on your doorstep. Kane Ellis is practice manager at a community-managed health service, which is on the lookout for people like you.
Our clinic services the Darwin region for Indigenous people and their families. We see a lot of people with chronic diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, renal failure. While we don't have any openings in the mental health area at the moment, we would love to go down that track and hopefully we can have a chat with you about the future. Best of all, you get to come and experience Darwin, the culture, the weather, and you might as well just come and see it for yourself.
So that was the kind of lifestyle they could enjoy in the country. Let's take a look at what's possible in the city on their budget. Capital of the Northern Territory, Darwin is one of Australia's most buzzing and multicultural cities. The rental market in Darwin City offers 2-bedroom accommodation from around £700 to £900 a month, so there's something for everyone. You could work in a private practice like this one, which is owned by Tarina Saunders.
The variety of work, I guess, is what makes health and rehab really quite exciting. Could be a hand injury, injuries to their lower limbs, spinal injuries, amputees, quite a range of different clientele. The real plus of living in Darwin, of course, is the lifestyle. It's such a great place to live and work. Most of the year, it's just beautiful, sunny, warm, lovely days. You don't have to worry about getting cold.
It looks like their lifestyle could shape up pretty well in the city. But what about a new life on the coast? The Darwin coast offers a superb choice of recreational activities, from fun water sports to excellent fishing. With some of Darwin's most expensive residential areas lying on the coast, renting here could strain your finances, costing from £750 to £1,000 a month. The benefits, though, are many, not least a relaxed way of life where you can enjoy the beach from sunrise to sunset. Local government employs occupational therapists. One of the managers, Penny Fielding, tells us more.
The work that we have here is a range of general activities, and so we need someone who can be responsive to a range of different needs. So Becky, when you're in town, feel free to come by and have a chat.
So the 3 options for Becky and Keelan all look appealing in different ways, but they could only try one. A new country lifestyle could mean better, cheaper accommodation, but maybe too remote. A move to the city of Darwin would mean being around people more and easier access to work and school. And the coast offers the outdoors lifestyle that they dream of, but at a cost that may be out of reach. So 3 very different possibilities for our family to try. Which one suited them best? We sent the Sanders off to test life in the city for their trial week in Australia. Becky and Keelan have certainly got a lot to work out in the coming days. They've always been fine, just the 2 of them, but nearly 9,000 miles away from their friends and family, they may begin to feel isolated. As they land at Darwin Airport after a gruelling 22-hour journey, they're raring to go.
Slightly apprehensive because we don't really know what's going to happen, but we're very much looking forward to it and prepared to throw ourselves in completely.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it in daylight.
There's still a few hours to go before sunrise. They're staying in the heart of Darwin city centre.
Wow.
Oh, wow. The size of the kitchen, I'll get lost.
Their base for the week is on the 3rd floor of a block of flats with 2 bedrooms and a bathroom each.
You've got your own toilet and shower. It's a huge room.
It is actually. It's really big.
Keelan's happy and Becky's keen to forge relationships with the locals straight away.
Shower big enough to fit 2 people in. It's all I need to do is find another person.
Well, hopefully there'll be plenty of time to make new friends, Becky. For now, just enjoy the unfamiliar view from the terrace.
Oh wow, balcony's big.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
They haven't had time to stop, but thoughts are already turning to the loved ones they could be leaving behind.
It was very strange because Heather gave us a lift to the airport. That was hard. I think saying goodbye to Heather especially, because she came in and had a cup of coffee with us at the airport, and then she sort of went, bye. And that was quite strange because it suddenly hit me that we could be doing that for real quite soon.
Tomorrow, the adventure begins in earnest. Will Becky and Keelan find that life so far from home is all that they've imagined? Back in the UK, Becky and Keelan live in a 2-bedroom house in Northampton. It's big enough for them and Munchie, but they're ready to move on. As a single mum, Becky's finances are limited and she's not looking to buy a house in Australia straight away. She's hoping to rent, and her budget is up to £750 a month. In the last 5 years, Darwin has been experiencing a boom which has led to a shortage of accommodation, so rents are among the highest in Australia. Will Becky's budget allow her and Keelan to find a property that they'd be happy to live in? We found 3 homes to rent in Darwin. The first is in Coconut Grove, to the north of the city, and will cost Becky around £750 a month, which is as much as she wanted to spend. It has 2 bedrooms, a modest-sized living space and a balcony. The area is still under development, so they might need some imagination.
Yeah. More brick walls. It's too built up, there's no garden. It could be a property absolutely anywhere in the world, and I want to feel as if I'm in Australia.
It doesn't feel it could.
Yeah.
It feels like it's just anywhere.
No. Not us, is it?
No.
And if that wasn't bad enough, the utility room and the bathroom turn out to be the same room.
I don't know if I like having the laundry in with the toilet and shower, though.
It'd be a bit noisy and stuff.
No, that's a bit strange.
Well, the interior of property number 1 just isn't cutting the mustard with these 2, and it's unfortunate that it's slap bang next to a building site. A temporary thing, but I don't think that's going to convince the Sanders.
There is a garden area, look. Yeah. But obviously you'd have to share that with everybody else.
Yeah.
It's not really suitable, is it? They feel like holiday apartments. They don't feel like somewhere that you could live. And I'm sure people do live in them and quite happily, but it's not what we're looking for. One of the reasons we want to get out of the UK is because everybody is living on top of everybody else, and it feels quite claustrophobic. And this has exactly the same feeling. Yeah. Although the weather's nice and the apartments are lovely, it still feels as though you're sort of all scrunched into a very small space. That's not really what we're looking for, is it?
Keelan and Becky aren't too mad about high-rise living, but in many areas of Darwin, it might be their only affordable option. In that case, property 2 may be more up their street. It's in Nightcliff, a very sought-after area of the city. It's got 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom and will cost around £700 per month.
Oh, wow. It is gorgeous. That's really nice. It's stunning. It's like a little hideaway.
Yeah.
It is. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Well, they like what they've seen so far. Let's hope the bedrooms will be up to the mark.
Oh, wow. It's beautiful. Yeah, that'll do.
So Becky's got her tropical hideaway and Keelan's off next door to see if his is up to scratch.
So this would be your room. Looks nice.
Without the extra bed, there'd be a lot more room.
It would, yeah.
I like that.
That is nice.
Right, so that's a tick next to the living area and both bedrooms.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Keep this open.
Can we stay, please?
Last stop is to compare the garden with their own in the UK.
It doesn't compare to the garden back home. It's just fantastic.
And you've got all this space.
Yeah,
all the
patio
grass
area.
space.
But this is my ideal garden with all the tropical plants and...
It's already got the plants
Yeah,
there.
it's beautiful. It's lovely. The inside is possibly slightly smaller than I thought it was going to be. But then the outside space is just so fantastic. We wouldn't spend that much time inside anyway. Apart from that, it looks like next door's got a swimming pool. So they'd be very important to get to know.
Yeah.
Surely it'd be better to have your own pool, like at property number 3. It's another flat, this time at My Ely Point, close to the centre of town and a stone's throw from the sea. It has 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms and extensive living space. The monthly rent on this place would be just over £840 per month, more than Becky was hoping to spend.
Lovely.
Yeah, there's so much room.
It feels more like a home as opposed to something that's bright and sort of like a holiday apartment. This feels more like a home. This kitchen's gorgeous.
This flat seems to be allaying some of their doubts about apartment living, and a bedroom for Keelan is next on the tour.
This is quite a big room. It's a completely different style of apartment, isn't
It's 100% different, yeah.
it? Really, really nice.
The master bedroom has its own ensuite, so Keelan would have exclusive use of the second bathroom.
Oh, this is nice. It's not huge, is it? Ooh, then again...
It is, actually.
It is actually quite huge.
Because all your storage
Because
is
you've got
in
a
there.
walk-through wardrobe. It's lovely. And I love the fact there's a bath.
Yeah.
Enough fawning over your bathroom, Becky. You haven't even been out on the balcony yet.
That's stunning. Oh, you can see the sea.
Oh, wow. How close is that?
That's very
Because the
close.
sand's just there.
I might have to cut a hole in the trees just so you can see right through. That's very close. That's a better sized pool.
That's a bit better.
This time, although it's a shared pool, it's close to perfect.
We should have brought a swimming costume, shouldn't we?
Yeah. We'll just throw it
It's
in there.
lovely. Yes, I can imagine lounging around out here.
There won't be much time for lounging around with this much rent to pay. The Sanders were a little disappointed that Becky's tight budget means their property options are limited. The lush garden at Property 2 made up for the relative lack of space inside. But Property 1 got it wrong on so many levels. Property 3 proved a resounding success with both Becky and Keelan finding something to love, but the rent would be a real stretch. It's time to find out how the reality of renting in Darwin will affect how they feel overall about property. Will they vote for the home they rent out in the UK, or on what they've seen is possible to rent in Australia?
So on the basis of the 3 properties we've seen today and compared to the property we've got at home, our vote has to be Australia.
It's been a long day. As Keelan heads for the beach, Becky has a moment to reflect. She desperately wants to create a positive future for both of them, and the responsibility weighs heavily on her shoulders. The warmth and light will surely help her seasonal affective disorder.
The SAD has a huge effect in the UK. There's only sort of 3 or 4 months of the year where we actually go out and do outside activities. And the rest of the time we're cocooned in the house. And it obviously has an effect on Keelan as well, because we do things together. If I don't feel like going out, then he doesn't get to go out either. I can't see it being a problem out here at all. It's pretty much always sunny. I mean, I feel like a different person here already. You know, I've only been here a few days and I feel completely different already.
It's becoming clear how much they need to make this move. But although her job is on the skills shortage list, it's by no means certain that there'll be a job waiting for her in Australia.
I would have to have a definite job offer, a definite job to come to. I'm not in a financial position to be able to come over here and look for work and set up a home and what have you in the meantime. So I would have to have a job to sort of walk straight into, and that is purely due to finances.
Tomorrow the pressure will be on Becky to impress a potential employer. Whether they'll be able to move hangs in the balance. Becky trained as an occupational therapist, although she's chosen to work as a mental health advocate. While her occupational therapy qualification would get her a visa to live in Australia, finding a job that's up her street poses a different problem. It's 8 a.m. and after dropping Keelan off at the local scout group, Becky's on the road early to do some research into the kind of job she could hope for if she made the move. Having found that living as they'd like to in Darwin would cost more than expected, Becky knows there's a lot at stake this morning.
I'm just really hoping that from this visit something definite comes from it. We wouldn't be able to come out here if I didn't have a definite job offer.
So the pressure's really on. She's come to meet Tarina Saunders at Darwin Private Hospital to see if she's got what it takes to make it as an occupational therapist in Australia.
So I gather you're out here to find out a little bit about the occupational therapy opportunities.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I worked in the UK many years ago.
Okay.
Quite a few years back, and quite enjoyed working there.
Mm-hmm.
And, so it's good to see someone's coming in this direction to consider Australia.
Yeah.
Well, Tarina's obviously open to having a Brit join the team, provided that Brit measures up.
So new staff members, like someone like yourself, if you were, say, applying for a position with us, we'd be looking and asking you what you feel you could offer.
Yeah. But hopefully there'd also be some areas that I could bring some fresh ideas as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Good start. Hopefully Becky will be able to get a feel for the potential working environment. Although most aspects are similar, there are one or two exceptions.
It's amazing the sorts of things that people will do to their hands, unfortunately, sometimes in the line of work, and sometimes sporting accidents, motor vehicle accidents. We've even had injuries from crocodile bites, which unfortunately aren't a very nice injury because of the risk of infection. And in one particular case, the crocodile grabbed the chap's hand and did what they call a death roll. Yeah. So it rolled, and so that really caused quite a traumatic injury. So things like dingo bites as well.
Not something we get in the UK.
Yeah. OK, well, come in and take a seat.
The tour's given Becky the chance to ask some questions of her own.
OK, Trina, can you tell me a little bit about shift patterns and working hours?
Yes, most of the time, basically Monday to Friday. So,
and is it fairly family friendly? Because I'm a single mum.
Yes,
So obviously, I have to sort of fit around Keelan, school hours possibly, and school activities and things. So.
Yeah, we've usually tailored positions to the staff. I guess that's one of the things we pride ourselves on in private practice, and this being my own business, that I can employ people under conditions and hours that suit and that are fairly family friendly from that basis. Yeah.
So what does Tarina think of Becky's prospects?
Certainly she's an occupational therapist with a couple of years' experience. She's a little bit of life work experience prior to that, which certainly for the line of work we're in, we do look for people with maturity and skills from other areas.
That sounds promising. Could this be the good news Becky's hoping for?
Okay, Trina, thank you so much for your time. It's been lovely to meet you.
Yeah, well, all the best, and I hope you consider coming out to Australia, because it's a great place to work, and good luck with your job seeking.
Thank you very much.
All right, see you then.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. The chances for Becky for finding employment are pretty good, though I would say she would have to be prepared to probably go to more remote areas of Australia.
Oh, not so promising after all. Fierce competition for jobs in Darwin means it's unlikely Becky would find work easily there.
Certainly in the Northern Territory, Alice Springs and Katherine are always looking for OTs. So I'm sure Becky would find work if she chose to come out here. Yeah.
They've both fallen in love with the place, but they wouldn't be able to move without that all-important job. So will she vote for the UK or Australia?
Having spent some time with Trina today and getting a better idea of what OTs do in Australia, and although I'm aware there isn't a specific job available at the moment, I am prepared to walk the streets and find something. And compared to the type of OT work in the UK, I think my vote would have to be Australia.
Becky seems sure about her decision, but if she can't find a job, their move will be impossible. Anyone thinking of going to live in the Northern Territory needs to be aware of some of the more hazardous aspects of this part of Australia. And here's some information about one of the biggest potential dangers. I think they're going to need a bigger boat.
Anyone that comes to live in the territory really needs to have a good understanding of saltwater crocodiles. They've been protected since the early 70s. That protection basically has afforded the population to increase dramatically, and they definitely do eat people. There's absolutely no doubt about it. It's a really good idea to stay out of the water.
A saltwater croc's jaws are more powerful than those of a Tyrannosaurus rex.
Biggest one confirmed that I know of is probably about 6.5 metres. Just a massive, massive animal. When you see them, you think, this is a dinosaur straight out. This is huge. An animal that size has got no problems taking down cattle, buffalo.
The downward pressure is equivalent to the weight of a large truck.
Cattle come to regular places to drink, and the crocodile, he'll hang around there for days, weeks, months sometimes. The animal will come down for a drink and he'll just shoot out of the water. They grab the animal, they pull them under. They'll do what they call a death roll. They'll grab the animal by the snout or the neck and they'll just twist and twist and twist and twist and twist until something gives. Crocodiles that have been kicked out of their territory will look for other areas and they'll travel vast, vast distances to find new territory. So in areas where last year you came for a swim and you know there's no crocodiles there, you come this year, there could be one sitting under there. And that happened recently. A lady was attacked at Litchfield Park. She's lived out there, she's a resident, she knows the place. She went in to wash her hands and a crocodile shot out and whack, grabbed her. Luckily she got away. But some people aren't so fortunate.
Salties have a tiny brain, but they're built for the hunt. They can run on land at speeds of over 10 miles per hour.
He looks like a big, lumbering, slow animal, but if you're certainly within his biting range, the speed that he can flip around and nail you is quicker than you can move. So for anyone moving to Darwin, there's probably 3 good rules you need to take care of, and that's read the signs. Don't be habitual near a water body. If you're going camping, fine, enjoy it, but go to a different place each time. And thirdly, just understand and respect that these critters are in their environment and you're coming into their environment. Hey, you eat too. And they've got to eat as well, so just be careful. Be careful.
Becky and Keelan Sanders both believe their lives would be improved immeasurably if they moved to Australia. They're convinced that broader horizons, better weather and a more relaxed lifestyle could all be possible.
Very much looking forward to it and prepared to throw ourselves in completely.
Yeah.
But they were disappointed that Becky's budget limits their choices of where they could live.
Although the weather's nice and the apartments are lovely, it still feels as though you're sort of all scrunched into a very small space. That's not really what we're looking for, is it? No.
And most importantly, it seems Becky would struggle to get work in her chosen branch of occupational therapy.
I would say she would have to be prepared to probably go to more remote areas of Australia.
And without that all-important job, a move is out of the question. A vital part of settling in any new place is making real and lasting friends. Research shows that friends are crucial to people's happiness wherever they live. So we decided to throw Keelan in at the deep end. If he'd been hoping his trip to Australia was going to be something of a holiday, he's in for a surprise. Today is his first day at school.
Nice to meet you.
Local boy Charlie Burke has offered to show him around.
What's your school like?
Oh, well, it's a very small school. There's some of the schools in Darwin here. There's no bullying in it or anything, so...
Oh, that's good. No, I'd rather be in a smaller school, really.
Yeah.
I think Keelan was a bit worried about going to school and spending time there. I've been surprised, actually, at how much he's thrown himself into it.
And then from year 7 to 10, you then go to sixth form.
I am a little bit worried about taking him away from his friends and stuff in the UK, but he can fit in pretty much anywhere and make new friends.
Do you have, like, assemblies and stuff?
Yeah, we have assemblies.
The class is having a science lesson, and it's really hands-on.
What you'll do is break into groups. Each group is going to focus on one of the animals. You're going to be thinking of words to do with that animal. Obviously, you're not all going to be with Bob the croc.
It seems the other main difference in Australian schools is that they include a small unit on crocodile wrangling. But as we've seen, it pays to know the dangers of the wildlife you might run into, no matter how small.
You want to hold him? Just hold him like that. His mouth's not going to swing around and bite you. Okay.
My only concern really is to do with the dangers that are here that obviously we don't face in the UK, to do with wildlife and things.
No, Charlie can go first.
Okay. Come on, man, you want to bite you. You have to ride like this if you're riding, is it?
Quite rough.
Have you ever seen a crocodile before?
Yeah.
To ride binoculars, you have to do careful with his leg.
All right, by now, you should have your first 10 words down and you should now be handling the animal. Put words down that relate to what you feel, what you see when you're up close to it. Okay? So make
Spiky or scaly or...
Yes, scaly. And so he's the longest living dinosaur, isn't he?
Everyone seems really friendly, whereas in England, if you met someone, they might seem a little bit hostile at first, and it would take a while for them to start being friendly to you. Children, adults, they just seem to want to get to know you.
Keelan's fitting in well, but if Becky could only find work in remote parts of Australia, he might find his problem is less whether he can make friends and more whether he can find friends at all to make.
I think if I was offered a job sort of in the middle of nowhere, I would have to consider Keelan and sort of the benefits to him. He's at an age where he needs to interact with other people and build social skills. So I would have to take that into account.
Keelan's done incredibly well today and his new friends have really taken to him. But will his vote reflect how he feels about them?
I had a good day at school, I made a lot of friends, and work is all easier than it is in England. Australia.
Well, he loves school here, but what with helping his mother out at home during her winter depression, Keelan doesn't always have this much time to be a kid.
If we don't manage to come out here, I guess we'll just go back to the routine that we were in before, where he has to be more helpful to me during the winter months, and we go back to sort of just the usual routine back in the UK. Me being on medication, him, doing the things that he has to do.
So Becky's really beginning to worry about whether she could make it work in Australia. Despite some disappointments, Becky and Keelan have remained positive throughout the week and seem set on a new life down under. Keelan's had no problems fitting in Darwin, but Becky still worries about taking him away from their loved ones back home. Before Becky and Keelan finally decide whether they're going to move to Australia, we've got some messages from loved ones to remind them of their ties to the UK. First up is Becky's best friend, Heather.
Hey Becky, hey Key, how are you? I hope everything's going really well out there.
I'd just like to say that I'm going to miss you very much, especially when you used to come round for your dinners on Sundays. Generally, she's usually thinking about other people, and obviously Keelan and her really get on really well, and they've got quite a good relationship, and it spills over onto other people, really.
You can't imagine one without the other, if you know what I mean. It's just a nice relationship. It's nice to see them together.
He's like funny, but I'm sure he'll be fine, but like at the moment it's like feeling quite sad sort of thing.
He's very clever. For a lad of his age, he's really clever, and I think he's got the maturity and the responsibility to really make something out of this experience.
I know that Becky and Keelan are together and they'll always have each other, but you can still be lonely for, your sister who's just around the corner and the rest of the family who aren't too far away. And I know that from my point of view, I would probably feel a bit lonely from time to time, and that's a scary thought.
We get on very well. We really more like a sister and mother and daughter, really. We really do get on well, and I'm very proud of her. I'm sure her dad would have been too.
I wouldn't want her to ever feel alone, so... And helpless, and if anything, things go wrong, I'd want her to know that she's always got someone that will be on the end of the phone no matter what and help you out.
When she was my bridesmaid on my wedding day, it really was just the best thing in the world to have her there. Becky was the one that told me that I looked stupid in frills, that I wasn't allowed to wear red, and that I had to make sure that I had nice underwear on. And she was the one that chose it all with me. I'm almost angry at her for leaving, but at the same time you can't be, because it's achieving the main thing she's ever wanted.
She deserves a better life, and I won't hold her back, although I will be sad and I shall miss her. I can't wait to see you when you come back from your trip, and I'll have some chicken taters waiting for you when you come round.
I will miss the hugs the most. It's a hug that only someone who really understands where you're coming from can give you. And she is often the only one that can understand where I'm coming from. I'm going to miss you guys so much. You have been absolutely fabulous to me since the day I met you. Key, I'm so proud of everything that you've done. You've worked so hard to help your mum and support her and make her proud every single day. And just because you're going to Australia, don't think that has to stop. And Becky, it's going to be really hard here without you. But I know that every time I come to see you, you're going to be happier every time. You deserve it. Look after each other, and we will see you real soon.
That was hard watching that, wasn't it? Yeah, that was really hard. I knew that I'd get emotional with Heather's bit. It was almost as if she was in the room with us. It doesn't change our potential plans, no. I think what it does do is makes me realise that we need to be somewhere that friends and family can come out and visit us and stay, and that we need to keep lines of communication open, definitely, whether that be phone or internet or whatever. Persuade Heather and David to move out here as well.
Try to.
Yeah. And Nanny.
And the rest.
Nanny's got to come out to cook us chicken potatoes. We'll hold her to that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the hardest part. And Becky and Keelan have had to face facts. Any gains they might make by moving to Darwin come with a huge loss. It's been a challenging week for Becky and Keelan Sanders, 9,000 miles from their home in Northampton.
Slightly apprehensive because we don't really know what's going to happen, but no, I can't wait to see it in daylight.
Keelan seemed to have no problems fitting in Darwin.
It was actually really enjoyable. I was quite shocked. In Australia, I shouldn't have to go to school when I'm not even living here. And I actually really enjoyed it.
But they weren't totally sold on the idea of city living.
I think with the property it would be cheaper and you tend to get more land with the property on the outskirts.
Becky's seasonal affective disorder was nowhere in sight, so if they can't make the move, life might return to depressing normality.
If we don't manage to come out here, I guess we'll just go back to the routine that we were in before. Me being on medication, him, doing the things that he has to do.
Messages from friends and family back home were a wake-up call.
I didn't think it would be that bad. I didn't think I'd get emotional or anything. I thought I'd just keep cool, but I struggled a little bit.
Seeing Heather, it was very emotional. It's almost going to be like losing a limb. And probably will never have a friendship like that again.
And with no job fixed up for Becky to come to, they might not be able to make the move at all. If she does find a job down under as a single mum with no support network, times might be hard for her and Keelan.
And if I thought that he was going to be horribly miserable out here, then I would have to think again about what we were doing and why.
So it's crunch time. Becky and Keelan must make their final vote. After considering everything involved in a possible move down under, do they prefer their lives back home in the UK, or have they been convinced that their future lies here in Australia? How will they vote?
After what seems like a very long week here, I've decided that I really like it here. I've enjoyed everything that I've done so far. And even though the friends and family bit was sad, they still want to be happy for us.
Having spent the week here, I think it's made me realise that there's more to moving to Australia than I originally thought. Darwin has really got under my skin, and I think we've both fallen in love with Darwin completely. If we had to choose between the UK and Australia, it would have to be
Australia!
The week's been a real hit, and Becky and Keelan have loved everything they experienced in Darwin. If, and it's a big if, Becky can find work, then they're dead set on moving when they're wanted down under. Join us next time when we find out what happens when another British family have to decide whether to move where they're wanted down under.
Back in the UK, homes under the hammer in Plymouth, Derby and Kent. Next here on BBC One. And a house in South London comes up for auction as two property developers go into battle. Buy it, sell it, bank it at 11.
Hello and welcome to Wanted Down Under, the show which catapults a British family right across the other side of the world to help them make the biggest decision of their life. Busy single mum Becky Sanders and her 11-year-old son Keelan are considering swapping the daily grind in Northampton for a new life in Australia, even though they've never been to see what it's like.
I feel as if we've outgrown this area, the house. I think there's opportunities to be had elsewhere that aren't available here, not only for me but for Keelan as well.
Keelan's hoping that a move to Australia will mean more quality time with his mum.
We'll be doing a lot more, I reckon, in Australia, which we wouldn't do here. My mum will take us swimming far more, and probably cinemas, maybe less, because it's hot outside.
But will the reality of life in Australia prove a huge disappointment?
They feel like holiday apartments. They don't feel like somewhere that you could live. One of the reasons we want to get out of the UK is because everybody is living on top of everybody else.
Would moving thousands of miles away from his friends in pursuit of a dream life be too much for Keelan to bear?
Do you want a hug?
Will that leave the Sanders family's plans in tatters, or will they decide to press ahead with a move down under? When you look out of the window and all you see is grey clouds and rain, the prospect of a new life in Australia can seem pretty appealing. For people under 45 and with a skill that's in demand, it's a realistic option to make the move. But if you've never even set foot down under, it's a massive undertaking. What if you haven't thought everything through before you make this life-changing decision? We've given 20 British families the chance of a lifetime, a week down under, to see for themselves if it's all they've ever dreamt it would be. They'll be asked then to vote one way or the other, whether to stay in the UK or move to Australia. Becky and Keelan Sanders live with their dog Munchie in Northampton. Becky has long wanted to make the world her oyster and hopes her job may be their ticket out of the UK. She's a qualified occupational therapist but currently works as a mental health advocate.
I wanted to make a difference to people's lives, and I would think everyone that does nursing and OT and social work would probably say the same thing. I don't feel as if I'm able to put that into practice here because of the restraints with funding and budgets and stuff, and I just feel that there'll be more opportunities and I'll be able to really make a difference to people's lives somewhere else.
While wanting to help others, Becky also struggles with her own vulnerability.
For 4 or 5 months of the year, I suffer quite badly from depression. My life is pretty much governed by seasonal affective disorder. It means that during the winter months I do very little. I get up in the morning and sort Keelan out for school, and I go to work, and I come home and sleep. And that's about all we do during the winter, and it obviously has an effect on Keelan as well.
Well, it affects me because even the slightest thing could make her really angry at me, which I don't like.
He has to do a lot more during the winter months to help me out around the house. He has to do a lot more housework. So yeah, I do feel very, very guilty that I need to rely on him sometimes.
I've got a very, very strong relationship with my mum. I look after her when she's ill and she looks after me when I'm ill.
Although they're very close, Becky and Keelan have a strong support network which extends beyond the two of them.
My mum will miss her best friend Heather a lot because if one of them's had a bad day, they'll go and see the other and cheer them up.